we're gonna make saltwater duck. That's literally what it means, and it's from the city of Nanjing, which, like many Chinese cities famous for good food, is also riddled with controversy. Let's not talk about those and look at the ingredients. You need fat duck salt, 2 kilos, and a shitload of pepper. Your heroes of Chinese cooking with ginger, no Prince Charles photo this time. First thing you do here is actually to fry the salt. A lot of people think this is odd, but just dump about half the salt into that pan and let it heat. Meanwhile, chop off the duck's butt because it's all very fatty over here. You don't really need it. And then what you then want to do is to split the duck in half. Now, I've bought this duck fresh, but if you buy a frozen duck, make sure that you actually defrost it first. Let's just hack this up. For those that have noticed, my chopping board has actually broken in half. I accidentally broke it hacking some bones with a cleaver the other day. I have to go buy another one at the restaurant supply shop. Anyway, so let's hack through this duck. So you can see this duck's quite fresh. You know, it's all very fresh, nice and bloody. But you should always buy a fresh and organic duck. And if you can't, buy a frozen duck. I love a duck from Woolworths is really good, and you can see this one's really fresh. The blood's still raw. Now this salt is getting nice and hot. So once the salt's hot, you want to throw in the pepper, just lots and lots and lots of pepper. What actually happens is that the hot salt will actually heat the pepper, and what you actually get is a much more fragrant mix. So whilst this is happening, just keep. You want to just keep putting that pepper in on that. You want to just keep putting the pepper onto that salt, and you can see. And people say how much, and you want to just keep shaking it just like that. Some more salt, some more pepper. But the general rule is that the salt shouldn't be white anymore. The pepper should be so well mixed. Show you how hot this salt should actually be. I'm going to pour some water on it, and you can see that it actually just instantly evaporates. That's how hot. See that? That's how hot that salt should be. Now this salt is now hot enough. You can, and it should be nice and smoky. Now we can now we can start putting this salt over this duck. So it's actually very, very simple. All we need to do is to layer the salt onto the duck until you can't see any of the flesh. Now, it should be so hot that as you're putting the salt on the duck, you can hear a bit of a sizzle as ow, 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 that's really hot shit. Now what you want to do is you want to flip the duck around so you can really see that the salt is smoking here. And what you want to do is that you want to just pour that salt. You can actually see that the duck is actually shrinking because the salt is so hot, it's instantly absorbing the water. See that? You can actually see the duck's skin tighten as the salt goes on. And then you want to just, let's just pour the rest of the salt over this duck until it's nice and well covered. So you can actually see this in slow motion, that it is so hot that you can actually see the smoke coming off it and the heat coming off it. But that's how hot the salt needs to be. And then you want to just basically get it nice and well covered. There shouldn't be any bit of the meat which is not covered. So I'm just going to give it a bit of a shake. Ow, 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 ow. This is really hot. But anyway, let's just do it by hand. Nah, let's not. Let's use this. Burn myself. Anyway, there you go. So get that salt nice and thick on the duck. This part is really, really important actually, and that's now done. So all this salt here, you can put. Ow, it's still quite hot. Let's just pour it back onto the duck. So you want to just cover the duck completely with salt, and what will happen is that the salt will actually start curing the meat. It's very similar to how prosciutto and salted jamon ham in Spain is made. It's a very similar process, but In China, we use a duck or chicken. You know, you can actually do this with chicken, and it's absolutely delicious as well. But you know, we're going to use duck for the purposes of this example. So this is from Nanjing. Anyway, so that's now fairly well covered. Let's just get all this salt over. Let's just get all this salt over these little bits. Now, this duck is ready to be stored. Let's just get that right. You want to put the salt on, so it's all nice and thick and covered. And now let's put it in the fridge. So you can see I'm still desperately trying to, you know, make sure that any bits which are not covered are covered with salt. But you know, I think you get the message there. The better you can cover the flesh, the better, because you'll get a much more even and well cured duck dish. Let's put this in there. Push, 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 push. At least 24 hours later. See the duck? It's actually, the salt's all wet now because the salt's actually taken out all the moisture. So you basically boil it. 1 whole shallot chopped up. That's a whole clove of garlic and a generous serving of ginger. And I've also poured in some sherry, or you can use any wine. And we can start making the seasoning. So you might remember this. You basically want to have you basically want 3 garlics, and what you want to do is chop these garlics up, throw them in a pot, and then and prepare the coriander, chop up some of the shallots. And what you want to do is chop these shallots up. Remember to try to dice them as thinly as possible. And what you want to do is that you want to then get some oil. Any oil is okay here. This is just some olive oil, but you can also use rice oil, canola oil. Give it a nice good mix in the microwave, 2 minutes. See, that's now boiling. That's what you want. You want it to be boiling. And what you want to do is you want to then add a little bit of soy sauce into that. Just a little bit, not too much. 1 tablespoon. Nice good mix, just like that. So that soy sauce is now really fragrant with all the other condiments that you've got there. Now what you want to do is you want to get a bit of that duck soup, maybe just 1 little bit, and just like that, give it a nice good scoop. And there you go, that's your dipping sauce done. So this duck is now more or less ready. So and because I'm in a hurry to eat it, I'm going to use some ice water to cool it down. But you don't actually have to. This dish is served cold, so you can actually just take it out and let it dry. In fact, that actually tastes better, but I'm starving. So you can see that that duck's melting away, and you want to just you want to start chopping it once that duck's fully cold. So let's just sharpen the knife as we're waiting for that duck to cool down. Oh, this is going to be really annoying with my half-broken chopping board. Should really replace that. Anyway, that duck's now pretty cold. This is actually not a very good idea. What I would recommend you do instead, if it's not dinner time, is that I'd actually suggest you dry it off. Just let it strain. That's a much smart idea. I should have done that. Anyway, let's throw the neck aside, and we can cut off the loose bits. And then similar to chicken, the first thing you want to do is to chop off the wing. So always just slice off the wing first, because it gets in the way of you actually being able to chop it properly. Now it's really awkward with this dodgy chopping board. I can't go hard at it. Anyway, I've ordered a new chopping board from a kitchen supplier. Ugh. Okay, so then remember, when you're chopping poultry, the first thing you do is to get rid of the thigh. What you want to do is you want to cut around it, just like that. And so that actually then lets you take the thigh cleanly off. Give it a nice good shake if you need to. Yeah, just like that. There we go. And then what you want to do is that you want to always debone the leg, because it tastes much better deboned. Duck is quite tough, so it's actually easier to debone. So just pull it out, literally pull it tight and pull it out. There you go. And then you can start chopping. So you want to just chop. See, I should have let this dry. It will taste much better if it's drier, but hey, I'm really hungry and it's time to eat. But yeah, if you can actually let this dry for a good hour after you finish boiling it, it's optimal results. So you should definitely do that if you're not pressed for time. Anyway, so let's continue this awkward chopping process. You want nice big chops. There's a bit of skill in chopping poultry, and the trick is to have a very sharp cleaver and to be have a nice steady chopping board, and that's what you should aim for every time. Anyway, so get these into nice big juicy cuts, and you want to just put that in a serving plate. And yeah, see this water's no good. It actually makes it very slippery and hard to chop. So yeah, in retrospect, let your duck dry. Put it in a strainer and let it dry for about an hour for doing this exercise. But anyway, too late to turn back now. A bit like getting married. Anyway, so that is now ready. This water, I should just give this to my dog to lick up. Anyway, and then what you want to do is you want to pour the sauce over this stuff. Ooh, this is going to be delicious. And the salt really makes a difference. So there you go. Just give it a nice good dip. Dip it in the sauce. Make sure you really get that sauce in. Now, this is actually quite flavorful because it's salty, but now you just eat it like that. Really good. Really satisfying.